Hello, welcome. Today we are here to talk about the Business Analytics Specialization talk. So I'm teaching in the BA spec, and we are very happy today. We have Wei Liang, so he's coming
Hi.
to share with us his perspective as a recent graduate of our BA program, so that you can hear both from the faculty teaching and also from our student who has gone through the course. I think
Thanks
this was
for
nice.
thanks for having me. Like back then, you used to teach me like analytics too.
Yes.
It was okay.
Okay.
I was like, but recent about 4 years about there. But thanks for having me, and yeah, let's find out more.
Okay, Ken, let's talk about the agenda, the flow for today. So roughly, we'll talk about give a BS specs for 10 minutes. So then we will have a chat. We have a more discussion about his experience as a student and what he's doing right now after graduation. How has BA helped him? So this will be the chat session, and then finally we will end with a Q&A session from the audience. So right now I'm still teaching BA spec for about 6 years, and I think 2 years ago published a textbook which is now used as one of the standard texts in the curriculum. So Wei Liang, he graduated 2018, so now he's working at Epic Systems. So we'll talk about this later on. We'll come back to Wei Liang again. So first, let me start off with an overview of the BA spec. So basically what you will learn and do. So I have this diagram here showing you basically what you experience when you come and join us in the BA spec program. Of course, we start off with the core program, which includes the essential courses you will take, mainly about the database, mainly about the first course in analytics, Analytics 1. We introduce you to the exciting way of using models to make prediction, and then including some visualization techniques, which is extremely useful for business audience, the business CEOs and managers and so on, the clients that you'll be working with in future. And then we talk about more advanced techniques that will help you to overcome some of the limitations that you learn in the Analytics 1, so that you are able to perform at a much higher level, and then you have more interesting things to say to your clients, your future employers. Okay. So electives, this is where you can select your interest. Right? So we have a broad spectrum, and I think even after Wei Liang left, we have been updating our elective list, right, based on the industry requirements, industry needs. So this is some of the electives that you can choose. You shouldn't choose all. I don't think you have time to take all. You choose a few, right, based on your interests, based on your career aspirations, right? So in alphabetical order, we have the first elective, AI in accounting and finance. So this is also the elective whereby you will learn about deep learning, how deep learning can be applied in investment, in accounting, and so on. So then we have this interesting course called Business Analytics Consulting, where we actually invite a real company down to present their problems, and they will the company itself will work closely with the students to define the problem, and then to help you to evaluate also the solutions, right, that you'll be coming up with using analytics.
I remember this. It was interesting because it's a real company, real data, and at the same time, it is difficult. But it's challenging and fun at the same time. And I believe it was then that we able to look at the real world data and presenting something actually becoming something that is useful or actionable for the company. And I think that was actually very meaningful.
So I think this course is special in the sense that it's not the traditional lecture tutorial kind of system, right? So you actually had to actually have the chance to be very close to the industry persons, right? Which means you will see how real is it that the things that you studied in the previous courses, how we can apply them in the real world scenario. I think this is something that's very interesting, and it's one of my favorite courses in the elective in our BA. So then the third one, we have the financial service processes and analytics. If you want to go into finance service, this will be something interesting to you. So then the fourth one, the lean operations and analytics, talking about how to and identify waste, right, and find ways to eliminate the waste in the operations of the process. And then we have our new course called Prescriptive Analytics from Data to Decisions. So previously you would have learned how to make predictions from the model, and here now we want to find a way to optimize, right, for the company, okay, for the end user perspective. And next we have the programming for business transformation. In fact, over the last few years, we have actually introduced programming to all our business school students in year one. So programming becomes an essential year one course, a core module. So all the business students must take the first year beginner programming course. And here, this elective is for those students who wanted to learn more programming, right? So that they are able to take on more tech, IT related roles if they choose to do so after graduation. So this is a new elective that we created, especially if you're interested in the tech aspect, so programming for business transformation. So it's not really just programming, hardcore programming, but really more on how to use programming to solve business problems. Example, building dashboard. So one of the very common requirement nowadays, especially if your end user are non-programmers, they want to use the machine learning, they want to use the analytics results. So how would they use it? Mainly via a dashboard. So you are able to program a dashboard from scratch by taking this course. So finally, we have our service ops and supply chain analytics. These are more specialized if you are interested to go into the supply chain, right? Operations management kind of role or service management. So these are some of our electives that we are offering as of now, and more are coming. Next, we'll talk about technologies, right? So although we're learning a lot of techniques, concepts, we also know that after you graduate, it's important that you're able to execute those techniques efficiently using the software or the technology of your choice by your future employers. So that's why we expose you, right, to all these different technologies, and of course, different courses, you'll be using different programs, such as Python, R, SAP, SAS, Trader, X, deep learning, some frameworks, big data frameworks, visualization software such as Tableau, Power BI, databases, and some simulation software. It's just a select list that we put. So don't worry about not being exposed to what industry you're using. So we have consciously, explicitly added them into our courses.
These are common names. Like even today, I still see some of this. Sometimes I wish I pay more attention in class. I did. I remember a bit, but
yeah. Okay, so then about work experience. So all students must go through internship. So that is standard, fairly standard. So whereby they will learn and experience, right, or what working in real world is like, and the chance for them to apply their BA skills, right, in the internship. So their internship. So Wei Liang, how many internships have you gone through? Remember?
I think I remember like 2.
Okay.
I went through 2 one in like year one between year 2.
Okay.
And very different aspects of things, and I think it's because like you can see how some of the BA skills that I use that help me get into the industry in the first place, and need to be able to like actually apply it, which is very important. But I see the BA work study program is very new.
Yes.
What was this?
Correct. So BA work study program is something recently launched, in which we want to give them a deeper, right, and immerse our BA students more directly with the business over a longer period of time. So this is at least 35 weeks. So this is inbuilt in the program. So you will just mainly do this during the long vacations and so on. So and which means that there will be a conscious effort by the companies, right, that sponsor this BA program to define the curriculum, to define the work experience, so that it's more meaningful and more and deeper engagement over a period of time. So the most recent one that we're involved in now is with the private banking group. So we actually have a group of private banking companies that comes together and say that in addition to wanting students from the banking and finance specialization, they also wanted, and they emphasize this a lot, BA students who could also do private banking work. So they wanted students who are trained in BA to join the program. So we have different work study program that's being launched as we speak. So that's one of the exciting ones if you want to do more work in the companies while you're still studying as a student.
I think even if like you have a longer exposure, or the company knows that you have a longer time with them, they tend to give you more fun things to do, things that takes more time to complete. I think those experiences will be very, very useful.
Yes, because with the greater duration, you have more opportunities and more things that you can do. Okay, so then we also have projects from companies, right? So these projects from companies, some are actually as part of the course, like the business analytics consulting. Some are actually requests from the industry. Yeah? So the one that I had just completed about a few months ago. So we had about 10 months project from a company in the petrochemical industry. So they have analytics project. They wanted to start this new initiative in the company. So I actually recruited 5 students from BA and 1 student from another program. So together 6 students, we worked together to solve this company problem. The company provided the data, provided the domain knowledge, provided business problem. So we as the faculty and the 6 students work together to come up with the solution, the BA solution for this company. So I think this was very interesting. It takes a lot of planning and takes a lot of some time, especially during vacations. I think we designed so that students are more actively involved during the vacations and less so during the term time. So this is one example of what we have done, right? To bring the real world into your experience as a student. Okay. So next, let's have a chat session. Since it's a good opportunity, right, to have a student back with us. So let's talk about Wei Liang now. So Wei Liang, he matriculated as a business degree student in 2015. So which means that in 1 year later, he has to select his specialization. Right? So of course, he has chosen BA specialization. That's why he's here today. And then 2016, he interned at FlexiTech, IT startup. In 2017, he interned at Accenture, so which is one of the big names in the consulting firm. And 2018, he graduated with BA Spec, and his first job was with Singapore Airlines. And then after that, he joined and is currently with Epic Systems. So maybe, Wei Liang, let's go back in time. Back in 2016, when you are a student and you're choosing the BA, the specialization, right? So there's so many specializations. Why did you choose BA Spec?
Back then, okay, I was interested in stats, fascinated by it, but I'm not super good. So it's like how you are interested in math, but you don't want to do the addition, then you discover calculator. Okay. So when you go like, say BA Specs, it's about doing stats using programming and using a very structured way to help to do stats in a very easy way to solve problem. So it was described to me back then, it's like, you are given data, it's like dots on the paper. You are the one drawing the lines and forming a picture to tell a story or answer a problem. And then that aspect of it, the process from getting dots to like answering problems, that process fascinated me. So that's why I kind of chose BA Spec back then.
Okay, BA Spec. So now that having gone through the BA program, how would you describe the BA program? Is it very mathematical, very programming, or very theoretical? How would you describe it?
It is a little of everything.
Okay.
Math, programming, and stats. I think back then, how Prof. Damien, like our dean last time, used to describe the BA Spec to me is like, in the world of data analysis, there's 3 realms of people, or 3 kingdoms of people. You have the programmers, you have the mathematicians, the statisticians, and you have the business users. So to give an example, an analogy, so like how we predict the weather back then. So way back in 1920s, like the mathematicians are the one who came out with the mathematical model to say that based on a bunch of factors, it's going to rain tomorrow. But to do that, they take like 6 weeks to come out with like a 6-hour forecast.
Okay.
And then it's only so the mathematicians are the one who give the analytics the authority, and also they are the ones that help us explain the world with numbers.
Okay.
Then we have the programmers, who are the one who help the mathematicians to churn or process large and insane amount of data. So we talk about the three V's of big data: the velocity, variety, and the volume of data. So going back to the weather example, so they are the one who are able to take the mathematical model, put it in the computer, program it such that they can generate a forecast for the next 1 week or 2 weeks. Then we have the third round of people, which is the business user, who are actually the ones selling the umbrella, for example. But BA Spec is the person that talks to the business user selling umbrella and says, hey, there's a forecast, use this to manage your inventory. So BA spec is the one, is the BA specialization is like the hub between these three realms of people, and they can talk to all three. And at the same time, we also position to enter any of the field depending on like your interest or how much domain knowledge or how much greater studying that you did. So it's definitely you can step into the programming side, do more data or do more techie, or you can be the representatives from the business side to talk with the technologies, to talk with the programmers on how things is to be done, or what kind of analysis that we want to do.
Okay. Okay, Ken, I heard you mention programming several times, and you are now a system analyst at Epic Systems.
Yes.
So I'm just curious, so when you joined NTU at the time, do you have any programming background?
Oh, I didn't. In fact, I didn't even know what programming is.
Okay.
Then, and it was only after I started spec, then we need to start learning programming, and the first language I learned was like R. Then I started wondering why is the syntax, why does you have semicolons everywhere, or like spend time finding the missing comma. But it was there. Then I got interested. Then I went to learn more. Last time we don't have the year one course that you talk about, or don't have options to learn more programming. So I actually went to the computing school to pick up Python. Then I think how I describe it is like programming is like just a language. You learn the alphabets, you learn the grammar. Then slowly you can know how to form sentences. You can write compositions.
Okay.
But ultimately, it's just a tool to an end, and you just learn programming of one particular language, the base concept of it. Then everything else is just different syntax, different languages. So once it clicks, it makes sense. But then there is a steep learning curve. But after the learning curve, it's actually quite fun. Like, what can I do with this new knowledge that I have? Which is interesting.
Okay, Ken. I guess back at its time, I think programming was not a core course yet for year one students. So I think in recent years we have made a core module so that everyone is exposed to programming very early on, so that it makes the learning curve less steep.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so, and then you can appreciate, and then you are able to use this additional skill that you have which is very useful for analysis. Okay. Maybe let's go to this your internship experience. You have FlexiTech, you have Accenture. Maybe you can share more about this your internship experience and how your BA skills have been useful.
So, I think the internship that I went is not so traditional. So it's not in the sense that it is into like fully data analytics, but it goes more of as what I said. Like I'm the business user representing the business, or talking to the programmers. Like so I have this problem, and then how can I use technology, programming, analytics, or the different like level of analytics, business intelligence, all the way to predictive, or how can we solve a particular problem? And then translating that from user requirements into maybe something that more language or like a requirement specifications that the programmers, the techies know how to answer, and then working with both sides on that.
Okay.
Of course, I also did dabble a bit on like scripting to help automate some processes, but those are side projects.
Okay. Okay. So, then you graduated and you joined Singapore Airlines. How soon you get the job offer from Singapore Airlines?
I was diligent.
Okay.
But I think before I graduated, I really started applying. So I think 2 months before I graduated, I got a job offer.
So job offers 2 months before graduation.
Yeah.
So at Singapore Airlines, maybe can you share a bit more about how your work in BA has been useful on your first job?
So to be honest, my job in Singapore, as compared to my peers who they step more into the realm of the programmers or the tech side, I stayed more with the business side of things. So I joined like an operational department in Singapore Airlines, managing rosters for crew, for flight crew. So in and of itself, it's a very traditional business model or very traditional problem, but there's like a million moving parts, and you have both clean data, dirty data, and this and it's very easy for like when something goes wrong with like the rosters or like with the operations, you have to think of why is this happening. So traditionally people just like look at rosters one by one or trying to do summaries, but having knowledge on business analytics or like BA analytics, like we know how to ask the right questions on why is this happening, and be able to identify or summarize or transform the data in such a way that we can sieve out and identify patterns and be able to streamline the whole process of like, oh, what's wrong? How can we fix this? And how can we use tech to fix this? Because ultimately, things are prepared using technology, and then how you use technology to solve the problem, you need to be asking the right questions and then making the necessary changes. So that's one part of it, like the operations part of it. And there is also the whole, like during my stint, 2018, 2019, we know COVID happened, and then we know that maybe there was a merger between the Singapore Airlines and its subsidiaries. So during that time, because traditionally we use like a system to plan our operations, but when you have new dynamics such as the merger or the COVID, everything's changed. Like you need to adapt. The company will need to adapt to be able to answer some of these problems that traditionally did not exist. So being the one that represented the business, knowing like, oh, what do I want to solve? The problem that I want to solve. Then going to talk to the vendors, the people with all the technology that are doing the programming, said, oh, I have this problem, what can you do for me? And can look at, then we can more closely talk into like the solutioning, or like how do you configure or how do you program certain solutions for the business. Then I can then bring this back to the management and explain to them in a way, either using data or visualizations, on like in a way that management can understand, who are traditionally not tech savvy.
Okay, I think this is an important part of business school training, and that's what differentiates us from the other faculties department. Because in business school, even though we offer analytics, which is a more technology intensive program, the focus is really not on the technology itself. It's not on the programming. It's not focusing on the data. It's actually focusing on the business, right? What is the business problem, or what is the business opportunity, right? And then we use our analytics technique using the data, and then try to solve or help the business. So I think the focus is on the business side of things. So the rest are just tools to us. So I think that's the important part of the training that you will get, and that's what we focus on in the business school. Okay, so and then I think 2021, recently you just joined Epic Systems, so maybe you can share more about your work at Epic Systems.
So like I talk about how I will use the one that was translating, like I was representing business, talking to vendors to do the programming.
Yes.
Now I'm on their side. I changed side. So I'm now on the vendor side, providing the technological solutions, then talking to the end users who are usually our clients, on like, oh, you have an issue, you have a problem, and that you want to solve. How can my company's program or my company's technology help you address the problem? And so I'm the one taking in the requirements and also understanding them and changing like our configurations to suit their needs and things like that.
Okay. So now on hindsight, now that you have been through the program and you have been using analytics, right, in your jobs, internship for some time now, what would you do differently? If you are now back in time, you can go back in time. As a student, what would you do differently as a BA student?
I think going back, I actually found out my interest in programming from after joining BA. Then I went to like the computer science faculty to especially went to computer science faculty to take on an elective just to learn programming. So I would wish that I started that earlier so I could have like more knowledge. But I think students now more lucky. They have they already have like exposure very early. So then if they want to have deeper learning or deeper understanding, they can do that in their school year already.
Okay. Do you have any memorable moments while you're a BA student here in MBS?
Okay. First one I talk about like business analytics consulting. We have a team, like 5 or 6 teams. They are presented with like the same data set, which is just bunch of user log data from like a website. Then from there they will say like, define your own problem, and then go ahead and do the programming or building the model, and then presenting it to the real life business, the company itself. We thought that the hardest part of the whole project will be the building the model, doing the analysis. But actually we spent more than half the project asking the question like, what is the business problem? Or what is the question that we want to find out? Or what is the question that we want to answer using the data that we have? So that in itself is a very interesting process. The amount of like exploratory data analysis, like we just simply just and looking at the data set or like just summarizing, doing some basic statistics, descriptive, then to find out, oh, what do we have, what can we answer, or what is the business question. Then once we have the business question, then everything just click. We just spend like 2 days or like the whole 6 months just to code out the whole model and bring it out. And then we did the analysis, then we have the statistics and like, oh, this is statistically significant. Then we answer then we realize we have to answer the second most difficult question. So what? Like, so what you have this analysis, so what you have this statistically significant findings. What can you do with it? So to be able to change our analysis again and then tweak it and then to be able to really understand, translate that portion into actionable insights for the business, for the companies, and then so that they're able to use this data for something.
Okay, I think this is an important point because I think the execution of the analytics technique, even though it may be mathematically complicated, even though you may need to use programming, it's actually the simple parts, right? Because it's quite standard process. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. I think the most critical part is really trying to identify what exactly is the problem that the business should be solving. Okay? What is the real problem? Or if you don't want to face a problem, you can think of it in terms of opportunity. What's the opportunity that they should be pursuing? And so I think getting that right is the most critical piece, because after that, all your solution is aimed at solving the problem. So defining the problem is actually the most critical step. So we try to expose, I think, and also in the way you think about it, right? I think in our education system, we seldom had such an exposure, because normally in schools, in secondary school, JCs or whatever, you're given the problem. The problem is there, and you just have to apply the steps, apply the formula, and get the answer. So I think this is the kind of education we are used to, right, before coming to university. So in our course, that's why we make it very explicit. We know that this is the kind of expectations you will have after you graduate. So we have intentionally put this as part of the curriculum structure. In a lot of courses, we make defining the problem a top priority. So like in the core courses that I teach in Analytics 1, Analytics 2, I make sure that each team write a proposal first, right? And they submit a proposal to me that is focusing on the business problem, defining the business problem as they think is the important one for the business. So I think this is an important exposure that you should go through, right, in order to be effective at using analytics. Okay. So thank you for that sharing. I think that's important. This is an important point. Okay. So what kind of students do you think would be suitable for BA?
I think even though I say like the problem is important, stats and programming must not bore you to the point like you want to run away from it. You just need to have enough interest, have enough understanding for it. I think that's important. And lastly, if you are someone who likes the dynamic nature of data analytics, because having the tool set, you actually have the key to a lot of different problems. So you can move on from problems to problems to problems. So you have a more dynamic nature, and things that you're trying to solve, the answers that you're trying to find changes time to time. So that dynamic nature of it is actually very fun itself, even as a career or even as like just as a curriculum, just studying it.
Okay. Great. I guess from my perspective as a faculty, I guess we hope that students will be interested in the business aspect, right? The business aspect, and of course they are. It's good if they have a natural inclination, right? They love numbers, right? So you must not hate numbers. That's the thing. You must love numbers. You must enjoy, right? Being scientific, being objective, and using data, right, to answer the business problem rather than just guessing what the problem is or guessing what the solution will be. A good solution will be like. You're able to verify, right, that from the data. So I guess these are some of the traits that will make you an excellent student in business analytics. Enjoying the uncertainty, right? The tension in defining the right business problem, and also enjoying numbers, enjoying using data to answer questions. This will make you an excellent candidate. Okay. Let's go to the, I think, important questions that we are also very mindful of is what are the jobs, right, available after you graduate with our bachelor degree or degree program in analytics. So in a summary, I think we can say that you're actually very suitable for any jobs. So a lot of jobs that require in-depth data analysis, not just a superficial kind of data analysis. And you're able to breach the business requirements, right? And the tech side. So I think this is the natural sweet spot, right, for business analytics. So, and we have our graduate employment survey. We do it yearly, every year. We show you the actual jobs, right, taken by BA grads. So I'm quite happy to share with you the latest set of results we have from the last year's 2021, right, graduate employment survey. So here is it. These are industries that hire the BA graduates. So you can see that the infocom technology, the consulting, the multinational companies, the public sector accounts for almost 80%, right, of our BA hires. The banks, right, and financial sector actually hire 17%, so it's quite substantial also, the BA graduates. Because just like in the work study program mentioned, right, now a lot of banks are also explicitly looking for BA skills, right, not just banking and finance skills. So the top 10 occupations, so as from the surveys, stats, data analyst, business management consulting, system analyst, system designer, data scientist, software developer, financial analyst, securities investment, right, dealer, broker, technical sales, business development, database design administrator. So you can see that there's quite a wide spectrum from more business-like to more tech side, right? So so basically a lot of jobs, right, that can be done by our BA grads. So I guess if there's a particular kind of job that you desire, I think it's good to be able to intentionally, right, develop those skill set while you're here in the BA spec as maybe your elective or maybe through the work study program. I think this would be an excellent point to do. So in terms of pay, the mean gross pay, so from the single degree business in BA, I think average is 4,004. For the double degree accounting business, 5,006. I think the interesting thing is that almost 100% got the employment, right, within 6 months after graduation. So Wei Liang mentioned that he got his job offer 2 months before graduation. One of the students who is actually graduating in the industry project, right, he actually got his about 3 months before graduation. So he's a BA student, business degree student also. So there's a lot of industry demand, right, for our BA graduates. So typically not an issue in finding employment. It's finding the suitable employment. I think that maybe that's something you may need to be more intentional about. You build up your skill set, build up your internship experience in the right ones, right? That aims that goes to according to your interests and your aspiration. I think that would be something that will be very useful. Okay, so it is just a partial list of the top employers that employ our BA graduates. You can see it spans a spectrum, right, from banks, international banks, local banks, investment firms, consulting companies, technology companies, and in public sector, right, and so on. So a huge spectrum. So there are a lot of opportunities. The question really is in what do you desire to do, right? In what aspect? Is it more technical side or more the business side? And then how you then build up your skill set accordingly, right, while you're in the 3 years or 4 years in our program. So with that, I think we can have our Q&A session. If you have any questions, you can share this in the Slido.
Oh.
Okay, so I have a few questions now at Slido. The first question that I see, what's the difference between a Bachelor of Science in Business Analytics and our business school specialization in Business Analytics? I guess the first thing is the name, right? The name of the degree program. One is a Bachelor of Science. Ours is a Bachelor of Business. So that's the first difference. Second is, of course, then the Bachelor of Science is in a computer science school. Ours in the business school. So I can't comment too much about what the other universities are teaching because I'm not teaching there. What I can tell you is that our focus here in the business school really aim at at focusing on the business problem, right? So that you're able to apply the skill sets that you learn, the technical skill sets, to be able to solve and seize whatever business opportunities. And I see this a lot in a lot of companies, right? Whereby the business wants to do analytics, wants to do machine learning, wants to do data science, wants to do AI, right? But they need someone to guide them, right? That's where our BA training is huge, is immensely useful, right? Because we're able to understand the business requirements, we're able to communicate with them, we know how to frame the problem, and we learn how to actually, therefore, translate that into the requirements that you can apply analytics. I think that's our strength, right? So, so maybe the com science will be stronger, better at the programming side, the maths department more on the mathematical side, but our business school will definitely be very strong at the business side. So that's what I would say. And whether that is your interest, I think you have to compare. What exactly do you want to do in your career to build the skill sets accordingly? So that's the first question. Okay, the second question: how is BA linked to entrepreneurship? What do you think? Linked to entrepreneurship?
Well, I think when entrepreneurs, they have a business idea, and over time, we move on to business idea, they build their business, they start earning profits. But ultimately, they'll hit a step, is like, what's next? What's next to make my business bigger? What's next to make my business different? Or like having the cutting edge, or to be a leader in the industry. Analytics is one that traditionally is like not so well known, but in recent years, after a business grow to a certain degree, analytics became like a question that they say, how can I incorporate analytics in my business? And then the first question is, how do I start? So being someone is like a BA is to help them. How do you start? So how do you gather your data? What do you want to do with it, or what do you want to know, or what are the list of potentials that you can do with your business, with maybe your application that you're developing, with the website that you're building. What kind of data do you have, and from there, what can you do with it? So the BA is the one that is perhaps the person giving the idea, and also help to set up maybe the basic infrastructure on how to do the collecting of the data and how to process it.
Okay, good. I guess entrepreneurship, BA side, BA is actually useful in MNCs, in public sector, but also immensely useful in entrepreneurship, right? Mainly because I guess a lot of startups, right, they want to disrupt, right? They want to disrupt the status quo. They want to do something different, right, than what the peers are currently doing, the industry so-called standards and so on. So one natural source is therefore to look more closely at the problem, right, the business problem. What exactly are we not solving so well, or what exactly did we miss? And then use the data to verify that their own strategy is working well. So that's why BA is actually immensely useful for entrepreneurship. So, okay. So in fact, a lot of my so-called cases, right, that I use in my teaching also comes from entrepreneurs or entrepreneurship companies, right? Previously, they are startup. Now they are now big names, things like such as Netflix. Okay, 10 years ago when I first taught, I used Netflix as a case in Singapore. Nobody knows what is Netflix, right? 10 years ago. So I think nowadays everybody knows about Netflix. So Netflix is one classic example of how BA is critical to the success of Netflix once upon a time when they are still a startup and entrepreneurship, just disrupting the movie, the business. Okay, so that's the entrepreneurship element.
I see that some of our viewers, they want to know like what's the requirement, like what are the minimum requirement to get into the BA spec itself. Has it changed?
Okay, the requirement has not changed. The focus is still on year one, right? Year one, making sure that you do well enough in stats, right? So the minimum requirement is a B+ in statistics, because a lot of analytics is based on using stats, right? Defining stats and using stats. You'll learn a lot. So it doesn't require the A, but it requires a B+. We think that B+ is the minimum requirement for you to be comfortable, right, at using stats, right, to make your decisions from data.
It's like good enough for you to know that after your results come out, right, you're like, oh, this is not wrong. I think that's about enough. Don't need to like, oh, this is super granular. There is a mistake in the formula. Don't have to be that
Yes.
detailed, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So next question, there is are there employers who offer BA students full-time jobs even before graduation? I think the answer is yes, right?
Definitely,
I think Wei Liang has
definitely.
mentioned.
I have friends like by the time they finish internship, they will have more or less sense from from the employer itself.
Yes.
Back in our day.
I know from some of my students that some of them got multiple job offers also. So they the question is how to decide which job to choose. So definitely yes, a lot of our students have job offers, even full-time job before graduation. Okay, so there's what are recommendations? Next question for BA students with regards to internship or work-study program.
I think my take is like keep an open mind. There is merits in like trying to intern in like the bigger companies, the big name companies, but there's also merits in doing their interns in like startups or like things that's non-traditional, non-tech. Because from there, the list of problems that you will face, the list of things that you get exposed to is different. And then internship, keep an open mind, start early, start looking for it early. I think that's one very important thing.
Okay, okay. So I guess two ways to think about it, right? Number one, whether you already have a target in mind in the sense that the kind of career that you want to develop, right? So if you are quite sure you want to work in the banks, in finance, then you probably go for internship in the banks or finance, right? To gain some exposure and to verify whether what you think the work is in the bank is actually your cup of tea. So it's either whether so if you have that intention, I think it's good to pursue that deliberately, intentionally in the internship. So if you don't have any idea what kind of jobs you want to do, right, then I guess you will try to expose yourself to a lot more things, right? So that you have a chance to taste what it's like working in that kind of company, in that kind of industry. So before you actually commit to career, right, to a career in that particular industry. I think so it works both ways. So we have a lot of opportunities, right, for internship or work study programs. It's really do you have a target in mind, or do you just want to expose to the different kind of opportunities? Okay, that's a lot.
So do you think someone must be strong in math to do well in BA?
So that's the next question. Do you need to be strong in math to do well in BA? I guess strong is a relative word, right? I would say that I think the more precise term I use it, you must not be afraid, right, to use or to do math or stats. Doesn't mean that you must be excellent A+ kind of student in maths. No, we don't require that. We just need you to be comfortable, right, and to be able to apply the math and comfortable enough to be able to explain, right, the concept behind the math. Because if you go through our programs, you'll know, right, the formulas are just formulas, right? The important thing is that you're able to explain, right, why are you using this kind of metric, this kind of results, right, that comes from these formulas, and to make sure that your clients, your future employees understand, right? So you must be able to understand it enough, right, to be able to explain it in the sense that you must not be afraid. So I guess that's the first thing, right? You must not be afraid of the formulas, in using formulas and so on. Because once you're not afraid, I guess you will pursue, right? You naturally ask why. Why is it we must apply this formula? Why is this formula like this and not like that? Why do we divide by this number and not the number? So all these interesting questions will come about when you're not afraid of the math. So I think this is one of the important attitude that we hope all our students are, right? To be, even though you may not be excellent in math, but you're not afraid of math and you're comfortable and you are interested, right, to use the whatever math there is to solve the business problem. So I guess that's the main thing. Okay. Next question, how is the career progression like working in a BA-related job?
Wow.
So from your perspective as...
I think there are definitely different track. Different track. There's people who in the technologies track who generally start as an analyst, be the one actually coding the program, coding the analytics model, or managing database. Slowly, different. Then from there, you can be something more senior, then taking on more projects or like start to guide a few more junior roles. There's people who move on to the project management track, or become like a project manager who manage like different projects, like different analytics project or different IT projects itself. There's people who goes into traditional or more a consulting analyst, then you start with like somewhere more junior, be the one that you have a mentor to guide you on how to approach different problems for different clients. Then slowly you move up the chain, being the one mentoring people on how to close clients, and even higher is like maybe the one closing deals and things like that. I would think that's what I understood.
Okay. So I guess the valuable part is that our BA program, right, open the doors, right? Whether you want to go into the more business side, more consulting side, the more data analysis side, or the technical or more IT side, I think you are employers, right, really open the doors to you, and they think that you are suitable for their kind of job. So I guess if you have no idea, you can even after internship, even after taking a course, you can no harm trying and see for yourself what exactly you like. So once you start on the work in the company, you have a chance to explore, right, and to find out whether you truly like to be more on the business side or more on the technical side. I guess you can go either way. So once you're clear on what's your interest, right, then you can pursue, right, a more targeted growth in that particular area. So I think this is also related to the next question. So after BA, what are the opportunities or prospects for master's degree or PhD? So there are a lot of opportunities, and in fact we have started about 2 years ago a new master's degree program in business analytics. So I think this is very interesting because we intentionally also want to open the doors to students who have previously no background in programming, no background in no strong backgrounds in quantitative discipline. So they are able to pursue a master's to do a so-called like a professional conversion, right, into the analytics program. So similarly, if you're already in analytics, we have different so-called electives, right, in the master's degree program for you to further specialize in, right, within the specific domain as a master's degree student. So there are a lot of opportunities available, right, for masters and PhD level degree studies. Okay. So with this, I think we have covered all that we have for now. So if you have any other questions, please send it to us. I'd be very happy to respond, or we can get some feedback from the people like other faculty and also like Wei Liang. So keep the questions coming. So ultimately, we hope that the right students will go for the right specialization. So hopefully, I will see you in business analytics specialization. Okay,
that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Choose NBS because it empowers you to be your best, because it helps to discover a better you for the future that you dream of.
Basically, to find ourselves and to learn how you can make an impact in this world.
Come to NBS to experience a different you. See you at NBS.
See you at NBS.
See you at NBS. See you at NBS.
I look forward to seeing you at NBS.